Okay, guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel and the Galilee, 18th of June. It's 8:05 in the morning, and it's going to be warm today, not excessively. Trying to load the weather, it doesn't want to load. Let's see if I can make it load. Malfunctioning. Let's see. Should work. I got it. 74 right now, and we're going to hit 92, so we'll have to run the AC. Same tomorrow, then we drop down, and it stays in the very low 90s through the weekend. It's going to be air conditioning. I get up about 5 or so in the morning and I shut the air conditioning off, and we usually leave it off till about 11, 12 o'clock, and that gives the air conditioning a break, gives us a rest from it. We get the windows open, and then we don't, we breathe fresh air and that sort of thing. Okay. What we're going to cover today is predominantly what Iran is doing to Israel, what Israel is doing to Iran, which is extensive damage, what America is going to do, and how they're gearing up, and it looks like they're going to attack Iran. It looks way more than Trump is just posturing defensively, okay? It looks like he's afraid. Trump runs by fear. Trump is eating a lot of tossed salad and enchiladas right now. A lot of fear and unknown. But he's getting the idea that the lunatic Khomeini and his minions over there in Iran are going to attack his bases in the Middle East, which is about 58,000 soldiers, and they can do it, and also attack the oil refineries and the ports and the piers for the other oil-producing countries, so he might lose the war and he might have to go to Russia. But Russia would be tickled pink to see Iran destroy the economy for Europe, Central, South America, North America, and Africa, because shutting the oil down for Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman would be affected, Jordan and Saudi Arabia would be affected, Lebanon would probably not be affected, Egypt would probably not be affected, and that would bring oil prices more than 120 a barrel. I'm thinking that would bring it between 200 and 300 a barrel. Some say 500. I'm sure it would hit 200, which would, today you're in the low to mid 70s, you're at 72, 74 a barrel. So you're looking about a tripling. So I don't know what you're paying at the pump, but I would expect America would be running at about $9 at the pump for a gallon, and that would cripple the economy of America. And Europe's already at $8, $9 a gallon, so they would be so expensive people wouldn't want cars. Now, the value of the cars would go down by 50% because people wouldn't be able to use them. A guy with a pickup truck or an SUV is going to work. Conservatively, he's not burning 5 or 6 gallons a day, he's burning 4. Okay, if you go to the supermarket and put the air conditioning on and you got a little bit of traffic and you want to get groceries, you're probably burning 1 or 2 gallons of gas unless you live across the street from it or something, right? So, I'd say it's a pretty safe assumption that many people are burning 4 gallons of gas a day. Times 9, $36. Just make it 30. Okay? That's a lot of gas a week. Okay, 4 gallons a day let's say it's $30, that's 150, that's $600 a month on gas. That's going to hurt a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that are burning, 6, 7 gallons, 8 gallons a day. What do? I mean, to only burn 2 gallons of gas going to work and coming back in rush hour is very, very low. It's really not even realistic. Getting up to 6 or 8 gallons a day is more realistic for many people. Now you're talking maybe $70 a day to go to work. And come home. People can't handle that. And Putin would want that. And that might be what he's telling Khomeini is, you stay there and then you get your key people and your families ready, and we'll send some Russian jets in, which America won't dare attack, and we'll airlift you out into Russia. And you'll have a nice mansion in Moscow, and you could wire all your money over here, and I'll take a small commission, and we'll break the back of the West. Will it break the back of the West? It's going to hurt. What Trump will do is make the oil prices kind of subsidized or something in America, or control them. So the people in America are probably not going to suffer that badly. Instead of, having to pay, $9 at the pump, they might have to pay $4.50, $5. So make it manageable. Gold will, of course, skyrocket. So will silver. They won't be able to contain it. Okay? So, but we're not worrying about oil prices right now. Let's worry about what Trump really intends to do and why, and what's going on with Israel and Iran. Ukraine-Russia war, I'm not going to pay attention to it today. China, Taiwan, I'm not paying attention to that today. Okay? And we'll get into that right now. I want to go into the live stream and make sure we got a live stream and get a post up, and then we'll get going. I want to go into... And I will tell you why I think Trump is going to likely hit Iran probably by the weekend or on the weekend. Most likely before. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, some people drive 40 miles a week. I agree. There's other people that drive 150 or 200 a week. There's a balance here. You'll find people driving an hour, hour and a half to work each way. Look for it in LA, in South Florida, in Northern California, in the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey area. There's people go an hour, hour and a half each way to work. Yeah, lots and lots of people. In Chicago will have it. Many places in the United States have that. Other places the people only drive 30, 40 minutes each way to work. But that's still going to burn a few gallons of gas with the air conditioning. Okay? And then, it's going to be a problem. Okay, I'm going to put up a post in the chat real quick, and then we'll get going. If my computer cooperates, which it's been cooperating these days. Okay, I got that done. Now I'm going to do some praise, being an Old Testament, New Testament believing site. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. Unconfirmed reports that 4 aerial refueling planes took off from Ben Gurion Airport yesterday, apparently refueling Israeli jets attacking Iran yesterday. We attack Iran day and night. Iran attacks us. Curiously, about 60, 100 yards from my property, a piece of shrapnel from a takedown fell in the street, and it freaked out a lot of the people in the community. I don't know why they got freaked out. It wasn't an intentional thing, But that was upsetting to some people. So they attack us every few hours now. Sometimes it's 3 missiles, and usually it's between 3 and 10, although one attack yesterday was supposedly 15 missiles. Generally, with these small amounts, not 40 or 60 missiles, the takedown rate is about 98, 99%. Occasionally something gets through. I do not think we had any casualties last night. There was at least 1 missile fall in a rural area, just open land. And I did not pick up anything where it landed on real estate or people in any of the cities. They do this yesterday about 4 or 5 times a day. They do it during the night several times to disturb people's sleep and remind them there's a war going on, Why is Iran taking this strategy? That's a good question, isn't it? The more obvious answer is that Iran doesn't have such a big missile supply. Remember, they ordered some chemicals from China that would enable them to make 800 ballistic missiles the other day. So again, it's kind of likely that they don't have the big missile supply they said they did. Nasrallah, the dead leader of Hezbollah, was in the habit of telling us that he had 100 or 200,000 missiles, and it was, of course, so bogus it was not even close. So Iran could be guilty of these lies also. And Iran is nothing but a lying country. They are run by psychotic serial killers. I mean, complete lunatics, complete whack jobs, okay? And the people feel oppressed by them. Netanyahu is doing some valiant efforts to get the people of Iran to rise up against the government of Iran. Now, we don't know where the Iranian regular army is. They may have already disbanded. I heard a lot of reports, nobody knows where the heck they are. So all they do is they take their uniform off and they go home. They go to their parents' house if they're young kids, or they go to their family's house or where their wife is. That's it. Now, they probably aren't going to get a paycheck anymore, but now the IRGC is more of an elite, psychotic, mentally deranged military, and they are out there. They're launching the missiles. what they have resorted to doing is Iran has a substantial amount, I don't know how many, of mobile missile launches. So picture a cab like on a Peterbilt truck or a Mack truck towing a trailer that's kind of like a lowboy trailer that has a missile launcher on it for one or two missiles. Okay? And these missiles are surface to surface. And apparently, to the best of my understanding at this point, they're using some sort of optical guidance system. They can't be using GPS because we spoof it all over the place and jam it. I can't believe they're using radar because if they did, we would have taken it out already, and we took most of their radar out. So I don't think that missile guidance is based on over-the-horizon radar, which may not even reach Israel because some of their targets are like 1,200 miles away, I believe, and they can't get that far with over-the-horizon radar. And when you talk of mobile launches, the radar on the launcher is going to be, I would say, about 100, 150-mile range. Laser guidance is always a possibility, but I doubt it. I think they're using optical, where they're reading the landmarks, and it's either being transmitted back to Iran so they can interpret it with big computers in Iran, or they have a computer inside the missile that's interpreting it and guiding it, or both, maybe. I don't know exactly what they're doing. But they definitely can hit. They can't hit like Israel can. Israel can put a missile through a window in a building. They can't even hit the building. Can they hit the city? Yeah, that's about it. Okay? They could get into a city if it doesn't get taken down, and that's about it. We also get reports, usually every day, once or twice, that a barrage of missiles or drones has been launched. And guess what? Nothing. So, are these releases coming from the government? I don't think so. I think they're coming from TV stations and stuff like that. I'm not. I have to dig into it a little bit more. I think there was some false alarms, and because of this, the government told us they're no longer trying to give us 30-minute notice. It's going to be more like 10 minutes. So I think that they got fooled by the Iranians a few times, maybe enabling missiles and assembling them and getting ready to launch. And they put a 30-minute warning out on Israel, and then they dispersed the missile launches and didn't launch. So now they're waiting for the missiles to actually be in the air. Now, you've got cruise missiles, which are slow movers. They're 550 miles an hour. So they're probably going to take 2 hours to get here. So the takedown rate on missiles like that is going to be extremely high, almost perfect, or perfect at times. Then they got regular other ballistic missiles, and then they got hypersonic, which are very hard for us to take down if they come in a swarm. Now, the thing is, when they launch 40, 50, 60 missiles, or 70 or whatever, at a time, which they did at the very beginning of the fighting, the missiles are very hard for us to knock down because it's a swarm. But they can't get that many missiles out with a mobile missile launcher because we have jets in the air and drones in the air perpetually now. And when that mobile missile launcher starts getting set up, it's going to turn on its radar, and then we're going to pick it up, and then a jet's going to turn on its afterburners and go perhaps 1,400 miles an hour to get over there really quick, drop out of hypersonic, and start laying ordnance down on that launcher. Okay? So they're not going to try to assemble 40 or 50 launches to do a swarm at the same time. Uh, it's too dangerous for them. And then comes the missile cities, which we've damaged entrances to and ductwork and stuff, but they're still there. So if they try to open up one of the missile cities, our jets would be there bombing it and could cause loss of life. Our drones would be there, and then, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 hours later, probably 4 or 6 jets would show up at that missile city, dropping many bombs on it to make sure the damage was rather permanent, or at least would take months to repair. Okay, so they got a conundrum here. They don't know what to do. Khomeini, we're told, has delegated much of his duties to these new generals, replacing the dead generals. Now, Khomeini and the dead generals were very close for many years, and he knew them and worked with them and got along. Now, these new people he doesn't know, so he put them in office, being the supreme leader. And the word that we have been getting for days now is that Khomeini is rather cracked up mentally. Well, he always was, but now he's cracked up mentally to the point where he's not all that functional. So they alleviated him of a lot of his duties. Now could be the cover story, and the reality is he went cuckoo, and they had to take the duties away from him because he's gone into Gaga land. Okay? Or it could be something in between. Don't know. So Putin may be telling him, you could come live with me in Moscow and Bashar Assad, and we could, eat caviar and drink vodka together. I mean, don't be too quick to believe these schmucks at the top in Islam don't get drunk and stuff. Don't believe that. Okay, you're kidding yourself, And, I could imagine him sitting there eating caviar, drinking Russian vodka, and smoking Cuban cigars with Putin. I have no trouble with that whatsoever, okay? So moving along, Putin's probably encouraging him to mess up the oil-producing countries in the Middle East, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. Now, it's getting way more complicated, and this is why the Doomsday plane landed at Andrews Base near D.C., probably to pick up Trump, although I don't think Trump wants to go flying around on a Doomsday plane. It could be Hegseth or Vance that goes on it. I don't think Trump's going to bother. My opinion is he ain't getting on it. Probably Hegseth would be the candidate to get on as Secretary of Defense. All right. Iraq has not entered into the war, but they told Iran but they told the world if they were asked by Iran, they would. Well, an Iranian minister of some high level was in Iraq yesterday meeting with them. Now, he didn't come over there to talk about the price of linen on the open market. They were talking about, killing people. What do you think they talk about? So, Iraq said if asked, they would join in, and they've been asked. And this, I'm sure, troubled Trump, because with Iraq and Yemen and Iran gunning for the other Middle East oil-producing countries and their refineries and their ports and piers, which are used to load up the oil tankers and ship the oil out. And the American troops in these countries is very scary to Trump. So I don't think he's just posturing. I think he's getting the reality that if he doesn't strike Iran, Iran's going to strike American interests and allies in the Middle East, other than Israel. Striking Israel doesn't seem to bother Trump very much at all. Trump is now referring to the attack on Iran and using the word we. And what the heck has he done? He's using Israel as a proxy, putting the yoke around our neck, and he's smiling about it, and I'm just waiting for Jehovah to wipe the smile off his face, and that's going to happen shortly. The attack on the daughter of Babylon is probably going to be triggered by what they're doing, what America's going to do with Iran. When they see America stepping out and attacking Iran, China, North Korea, Russia are going to get rather petrified. Along with them is going to come Belarus, Cuba, and Venezuela, maybe some of the stand countries and other Muslim fanatics, Pakistan, maybe, I don't know. So Trump is not stepping out there because Israel is getting bombed in civilian population centers. Trump is not like, oh, I don't care about that. No, Trump is happy about that. Now you say, how do you know that? How do you know that? Trump is just like any other president of the United States, and he wants Israel to not win. And the way to assure Israel not winning is to make sure Israel takes losses. So it would be very difficult for Israel to convince the world that they emerged a winner. Sadly for Trump and America and the UK and many, many other countries, that's not the plan that Jehovah has. Okay? That ain't it. So they got a major problem, but they don't fear God. They fear Satan and the demons, and that's their downfall. Time has come for the Lord to rid himself of his enemies. So this is, the year of recompenses. That's why Israel is doing so good, because of Jehovah. And it means the payback. And it culminates in the day of vengeance, which is the end of the nations. He's going to deal with them in a way they never heard. That's the scripture. It's going to be so severe. But going back to this. So the refueling tankers may have been helping Israel do that. Now, I was telling you the refueling tankers can handle about 5 jet fighters. Well, I think the big refueling tankers that America has, they can handle 8 to 10 refueling. They can refuel 8 to 10 fighter jets. So they get a bigger stretch. Now, I think Israel has different size refueling jets. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm rather sure. So let's assume we're talking 8 to 10 jets can be refueled off one refueling tanker, okay? All right. So bringing 31 refueling tankers into the region, along with refueling tankers already here at Diego Garcia and other places, is rather radical. Now, the Nimitz aircraft carrier is on its way over here, and I figure it should be here Thursday or Friday. It might be in strike range tonight or tomorrow morning, but it should be in the theater by Friday afternoon. And I have maybe Thursday, and I have a feeling that Trump is going to wait for that aircraft carrier. Now, Trump did say to Iran he wants their unconditional surrender. So Trump's still in Gaga land, not following the Bible prophecy of Jeremiah 49. By the way, I heard one of the big channels today, run by an SBOT, that's involved with EAMs and plane tracking and stuff like that. I'm not going to use names. Talk about Jeremiah 49. That's the first time I heard the false believer channels talk about that. So apparently I'm doing some good by spreading that around. People are going to, they listen to me, and what I am to them is basically like somebody slinging interesting stories about the Bible. And they listen to me and many other people. They don't really have the true gospel. But they read the Jeremiah prophecy and they go back to their church goofballs and ask them what's going on. So eventually I think Satan's decided he can't deny the Jeremiah 49. Now they are denying Zechariah 12 and Malachi 3 and 4. And when they do talk about Zechariah 12, some of them do, they don't talk truthfully about Zechariah 12:6, which is the two witnesses burning up the enemies, laying siege to Israel on the right hand and on the left, all around about. No, they say that's Israel, that's the IDF and the Air Force. They come up with lies. They are what Satan, the demons, and those that serve him at a very high level are very, very afraid of is the glory of God of Israel, Enoch, and Elijah. They're scared, unbelievable about that. And they are mean, evil, rotten entities, and they will take the people that serve them and throw them under the bus, because that's what they do. And they'll tell them they love them, they cherish them, how sacred they are to them, and then throw them under the bus. And any Jews that serve the unclean spirits are complete morons, because Satan and the demons are very afraid of the Jews, because they know God's going to raise Israel up to be the head of all the nations, and that's the downfall of them. And they know that if there's no Jews, then God can't do that. But that ain't never going to happen. And they have all their secrets. When you read Mystery Babylon, it's incorrectly translated. It's Secret Babylon, not Mystery, Secret. They have all their secrets, okay? And when the Jews go and defect against Satan and turn to the Lord, then all the secrets will be revealed. But we have a pretty good understanding of most of them, don't we? And we never sold our souls to the devil to get them, did we? No, we got it from the Holy Spirit. We know what they're about. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We pound that jackass and his minions, okay? So we're not very impressed with them and their stinking secrets. He's going to turn on the Jews, just like he did in World War II. These Orthodox Jews with their Kabbalah and their witchcraft, they got killed by Hitler, big time. The demons didn't do anything to help them. Stalin killed a lot of them. He didn't do anything to help them. Let me tell you a story. In the concentration camps, the Jews were not allowed to look at the eyes or in the face of the Nazi soldiers. Why? Because they knew a lot of these Jews knew how to do witchcraft. How did they learn it? From the Kabbalah, from the Talmud people, from the bad rabbis that don't teach the Bible, teach extra biblical books and tell them it's the Torah. They learned that. So if they saw a Jew looking at the eyes of the soldier, they didn't want that, because they could be witchcrafting the soldier to help them escape, bring them food or whatever, right? So if they looked in the eyes of the soldier, boom, put a bullet in them or something, you know. Now, the Jews in the camps were, to a great extent, not, they were so fearful of everything And they were so worn out. They weren't sleeping right. They weren't eating right. They were living in horrible conditions, cold, disgusting conditions, right? And their life was just work and being exhausted and eating sloppy garbage food. If the Germans told them kneel down and took their Luger out like they were going to shoot him in the head, the Jews, some of them would go crazy and try to run away, and but a lot of them would just kneel down. They were glad for it to be over, and they were afraid that if they didn't do it, a bullet to the head would be boom over in a second, right? If they didn't do that, the Nazis would beat them and then take them and hang them and choke them to death. They didn't want that. It was just a disgusting thing. But Satan betrayed the Jews. Any Jew or Israelite that serves the unclean spirit, now's the time. You better get out of them. Okay? Now, you're not going to believe me today, probably, but you might tomorrow or the day after. And all you got to do is get by yourself. Go, Father God Jehovah, please forgive me for what I did. Please forgive me my sins. In the name of your Son, the Messiah, Yeshua. And please help me and deliver me from these unclean spirits so they can't get me. And he will. And we know you're not going to go to the churches. You know the churches are of Satan. And we know the churches are of Satan. So we know you're not going to go there. Okay? But you better pay attention to this. And I know you bums come in here and listen to me. Okay? I know you do. You're my enemy. That's why you're listening to me, to be my enemy. And I know that. But you're going to lose your life serving these unclean spirits. They're going to throw you under the bus. You watch what happens. Satan and the demons don't think of you as not Jews because you serve them. There's a scripture that says, "Go you now and serve your idols, but when I whistle for you, you'll come." They know God could snap them out of it and bring them back. So they're going to try to get you killed too. Watch. Watch for it. Then maybe you'll wake up. We don't need any of your knowledge about how Satan works. Don't think we want your knowledge. It's worthless to us. We got plenty of knowledge of our own to do what we want to the unclean spirits whenever we want to. We don't need any of your knowledge or teachings. It's worthless to us. We don't need your money because your money is paper money and it's worthless. We don't need anything. We're just trying to save you. Okay. So what is this business with Trump and unconditional surrender? Does Iran have oil? Yeah. Is money the most important thing in Trump's life? I would think so. Or one of the most important things. If he gets an unconditional surrender, what happens? Exxon and the other guys, his friends and family that own oil companies, will go in and run the oil in Iran. And it'll filter down to Trump and his family and the other rich people, rest assured. And it'll probably enable America to have a lot more oil cheaper. They do sell a lot of pistachio nuts in Iran, but I can guarantee you Trump could care less about the pistachio nuts. Okay. We grow them in Israel. We don't need their pistachio nuts. I understand they're very good pistachio nuts. I don't remember ever eating them, but I was told by Iranians they're very good. But then again, the Iranians are biased. An unconditional surrender would mean what to Trump? He'd go there and liberate the people and tell the people how free they are. Sharia law would go out the window. They'd get rid of the parliament. They'd have so-called free elections, if you want to believe in those things. Be my guest. I don't. But they'd have free elections. So the Iranian people could elect the Satan bot of their choosing. That's how elections work. They're free elections as long as you understand that you're voting for Satan bots and you can pick the Satan bot you want, just like you can go pick the church of your choosing. They're all no good. Satan doesn't care who you pick. He doesn't care who you pick for a politician when they all serve him. Okay, so then he would put up a Federal Reserve Bank to bleed the people and get tax money, and I don't know what other stuff he would do. There's no point really dwelling on it because it's never going to happen. The people in Iran and Iraq and likely Syria are going to evacuate that land they live in and get spread into all the nations in the earth, all of them, and the sword will follow them and cut them off. And it sure looks like Iraq is going to be included. So if Iran has Iraq and Yemen, can Iran with Yemen and Iraq cause a lot of devastation to Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar? Absolutely. Don't doubt it for a minute.
I'm going to step out.
Okay. Can Iran activate Hezbollah, whoever's left alive, and which is, there's thousands of them left, but probably 30,000 anyway. Can you get them to come into Syria and then come into Iraq or something like that? I don't know. Remains to be seen. I don't know. Could he try to activate them in Lebanon to attack Israel? He can, but I don't think he's going to get too far with that. Like Hamas yesterday fired 2 rockets that didn't do any damage. Hezbollah would maybe be able to operate at a level like that, or probably not even. I wouldn't worry about that. But Iraq and Yemen and Iran can cause a lot of trouble. And I think that triggered Trump. And they brought F-22s with the refueling tanker, F-16s and F-35s. Now, people are saying that, well, let's just cut through the chase. An F-35 and an F-22 Raptor are not the best choices to take down incoming drones and missiles. The F-15 is the best choice. When they load the F-15 up with the various missiles and missile pods, they shoot little 2 3/4 inch missiles, which is plenty to take out a missile or a drone, plenty. They can fire 50 pieces of munitions off an F-15. So 3 or 4 F-15s can handle a huge swarm of drones. 2 can handle a huge swarm of drones, But they probably would send 4, so they have redundancy. Okay, so the F-16 could also fire a good amount of ordnance at drones and missiles. But the F-22 and the F-35 are hardly the ideal planes to attack drones and missiles with. People are saying that's what they're there for. No, I don't think they've ever used an F-22 Raptor to take down missiles or drones. And the F-35 is not the correct choice. We use them, but we're not America. America's got massive amount of jets. I think they've got in excess of 10,000. I think they're about 13,000 war-oriented aircraft. So the ideal takedown plane is the F-15, then the F-16, not the F-35, not the F-22. Okay, so these F-22s and F-35s and F-15s and F-16s are brought here mostly to attack Iran. Now, Israel took care of the threats in Iran in terms of ground-to-air defenses that could threaten aircraft by missile or other devices. And we took out a lot of radar. So we have made some damage to the, the missile cities, which I understand now there can be more than 12 of them. I don't think we really know how many there are. It could be 25 or something. And we don't know how much damage we did to these nuclear facilities. We're told by the IAEA all the way down deep inside we didn't do that much damage, but we inhibited their comings and goings by attacking the entrances/exits. So they're going to need America to come in with the 30-pound bombs, 30,000-pound bombs, and drop several of those on these nuclear facilities, which now we're being told is about 10, not 5, and blow them up, okay, more seriously. And then we have to also spend our attention on the missile cities. Now, if Trump has his head on straight, which I doubt he does, he'll hit the missile cities first because the nuclear sites aren't going anywhere. But the reality that some of you may not understand is Trump is a Satan bot, and he really thinks it's a good thing if Israel gets hit with missiles. So don't think he's going to attack the missile cities first. He might, but I doubt it. If he does, it's because of Netanyahu asking. His whole alibi for the story is not to help Israel. It's to stop Iran from menacing America and the world with their nuclear bombs. And at the same time, they tell us Pakistan and North Korea have nuclear bombs and nuclear missiles. And of course, they would never give them to Iran because that would violate nuclear protocol. Well, North Korea and Pakistan follow nuclear protocol all of a sudden. North Korea is a psychotically run atheist communist country, and Pakistan are Muslim fanatic lunatics. Come on, wake up. So the two primary targets are the nuclear facilities and the missile cities. The mobile missile launches is also a priority, a difficult one. Now, also for Trump, not so much Israel, the Russian warships need to be taken out, which is a massive job. 1,500 go-fast boats that can shoot anti-ship missiles, torpedoes, all kinds of weapons. It's a dangerous thing. 1,500 plus of those. We don't know how many container ships they have that are converted into missile launchers and drone launchers and all this kind of stuff. So then there's submarines, and then we have to deal with Iran closing the Straits of Hormuz, which is easy for them to do with naval mines, and they could do it with go-fast boats or whatever. So they're going to have to be taken out. And I think that's the job of the A-10 Warthog. Now, is there a problem with Iran taking 250,000 troops into Iraq and then invading countries like Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar? They don't talk about this in the other stations, do they? Yeah, it could happen. Um, it would be a massive column they'd have to move with tanks and artillery. And I think that America would blow it up. I'm not so sure Israel would care. Why does Israel care if Iran has Kuwait? Well, they'd probably want to work with America and blow it up because it would only lead to trouble. Trump has very low risk now attacking Iran, extremely low. The ships is another problem. And he has a very high rate of success. So he could come in because Israel laid the groundwork, the foundation work. He could come in and take the glory, and Israel paid the price, and then he takes the glory. That's like what they call stolen valor, where someone impersonates a Navy SEAL. You people in America that like Trump, by the end of the summer, you're going to wish you never heard the name Trump. You watch. I don't expect you to believe me today. Give it a little time. It'll be before the end of the summer. You're not going to, you're going to wish you never heard of that guy. He's an enemy of Jehovah, and he's going to go. And America's going to go. All right, let me check the live stream real quick and see what's going on. I do answer questions if you care to put them up in the live stream. I do try to answer questions. We'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. It takes you 2 or 3 seconds. It's free. And my strength is showing you Bible prophecy with what's going on. Now, I live here in Israel, so I lived here for many years. I'm a believer. I have the Holy Spirit. And I am not churched, proudly. And I will tell you what's really going on here. So you might want to hit the subscribe. It's up to you. Iowa, okay. No, the Gog and Magog comes way down the road. It's when you read Ezekiel 38, it says Israel's living in safety and peace without bars and walls, with great riches, cattle, gold, and silver. Absolutely not Israel today. Absolutely. People that tell you that, you shouldn't follow. They don't know their left hand from their right hand. Okay? Or they wouldn't talk like that. So, let me get into my notes here. Got a prayer request. I may have forgotten this one. I apologize. I'm sorry. With the war, I get a little discombobulated at times. This is for JC, Jack, Charlie, JC, Jack, Charlie, and family. A traveler's prayer for JC, Jack, Charlie, and family. And another prayer request for AZ, Alpha Zebra, AZ, Alpha Zebra. Pray that this person gets their disability. Applying for disability, pray that AZ gets their disability. All right, some more details about what Trump is really up to. The American warships have left Bahrain. Bahrain is in the Persian Gulf on the side of not on the side of Iran, on the other side. It's a very big Navy base. And the ships are not there anymore. They went out to sea. So Trump is probably afraid of them getting attacked. Now, Qatar, which is next door on the way to Iran, to Bahrain, Qatar has a very big American air base. And the airships, the planes, let's call them the airplanes of America on that base in Qatar, have gone away. So Trump is afraid. See, it's easy for Iran using their ships or even ground-launched missiles to hit those two facilities. So Trump moved the ships away and the aircraft. So Trump is minimally getting perturbed because Iran is threatening his military. But I think Trump realizes he's got to get proactive or Iran's going to get proactive with him. The unconditional surrender. I mean, we're the ones attacking Iran. Shouldn't we be saying we want unconditional surrender, not Trump? You see how he plays Israel for suckers? The Iranians first said that if Trump or the other Arab states like Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia would do takedowns to protect Israel or refueling, or at other times in the further past they said allow Israel jets to fly over their airspace. They're going to consider them enemies of the state of Iran and attack them. They've never fulfilled on those threats. Now they're telling America that if they enter into the war, they will attack them. Now, so Iran is backpedaling with softening, saying if you actually attack us, is what they're saying, we'll attack you. But I don't think Trump is really in the mood to believe what the Iranians are saying. Iran has a currency called the Rial, R-E-A-L. It's called the Iranian Rial. One United States dollar will now buy you 927,000 Iranian Rials. So it's almost $1 US makes you a millionaire in Iran, where you can have 1 million Iranian rial. This alone, the crushing of their economy to such a low garbage level, can destroy Iran alone. Just this. Okay? Trump is now saying his Gaza plan to turn Gaza into, gambling casino, hotels, etc., uh, is still on the table. So he's still saying he wants to take the land of Israel, called Gaza, for America. See, he's an enemy of Jehovah. You've got to understand this, or you're going to be sorry. And America is the daughter of Babylon. And if you are a true believer, you will get out on the next great exodus with the Israelites. Stop in the wilderness, as per Ezekiel 20, starting at verse 33, and then come into Israel. And you'll be incorporated into the tribes. But if you're going to base that on church membership, I don't think we're going to see you here. The British military forces are beginning to deploy in the Middle East, probably to support America in whatever America does, not to support Israel, to support America. So if America is supporting Israel, they'll support America, not Israel. There's an important distinction between the two things. The Iranians made a comment to Russia through their ambassador in Russia and said that we will remember how the Russians did not help the Iranians. I told you Russia can't help them. China's too far away to help the Iranians. And North Korea, he's just a lunatic. So I would say before the weekend, highly likely Trump will be attacking Iran. Worst case, all over the weekend. I don't think it'll take very long. Now, sometimes we could be surprised, and America may take a long time staging. They don't like to be outgunned, but they have a lot of assets here already. Trump may want to wait for the second aircraft carrier, the Nimitz, to show up, which I think will be before Saturday. We'll have to wait. It might happen that he wants to wait for that aircraft carrier. I don't know where he'll position it, probably around Diego Garcia, use refueling tankers to refuel the jets and keep the aircraft carrier well away from Iran. If any suspicious ships get anywhere near Diego Garcia, they'll probably be turned away. And if they don't turn away from Diego Garcia, they could be attacked and boarded. They could do a lot of things. But America's very worried about ships disguised as container ships or some other kind of ship that's actually going to launch a ton of drones and missiles. So they're not going to let unusual or unknown civilian vessels get near Diego Garcia. That ain't going to happen. Again, Trump would hit probably 3 targets in Iran. One, their Navy, which is a real threat to the allies of America, the other oil producing countries, and the American bases, because they could get close, cross the Persian Gulf, and get close to launch all sorts of barrages and overwhelm the missile defense systems and cause a lot of damage to the oil refineries, the ports where they ship the oil out, and the American bases. So that's a definite priority target that Israel has not bothered with. That's one big explanation right there. Israel has not taken out a single naval vessel of Iran. Okay? Next, Israel cannot completely destroy these nuclear facilities. We've just damaged them on the surface, making them somewhat unusable or hard to use. America wants total devastation of these things, which is going to mean multiple 30,000-pound bombs on the site, or perhaps large amounts of 5,000-pound bombs, like 10 or 12 or 15, on a nuclear site may cause sufficient damage, maybe. The other thing that that America might do is attack the missile cities, because they're also a threat to the oil-producing countries and the bases. That, I think, is about as far as it's going to go with America. And it looks like America is going to do some of these things anyway. And Trump is still in the back of his mind thinking about liberating Iran, telling the people now they're free, and taking Iran over for America with all the oil. That's what he's thinking. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. We know the prophecy, Jeremiah 49, towards the end, pertaining to Elam. It won't happen. And Trump's not, super gung-ho on that. I think he knows it ain't going to happen. I think the Iranian guys are going to run to Russia. I don't think Trump's going to give a hoot and tell Putin he has to give Khomeini back. I don't think Putin, he didn't do that with Bashar Assad. I don't think he's just going to be glad to get rid of the idiot. Khomeini and his cohorts will drain the bank accounts if they can and go to Russia with their families, and Russia will probably supply jets for them, because America won't take the jets down, I don't think. Or Russia might be afraid to land jets in a war zone, which Iran is, and they'll have to come on their own jets. I don't know. It may be too late for them to get out also. That's another problem. But they could negotiate a deal with Trump where they say, we're going to leave, Khomeini and, 25 top people are going to leave Iran on jets and go to Moscow, and then you can do what you want, let us go. And, they might let him go. Will there be chaos if the leaders of Iran leave? Yeah, because the military and the IRGC and the fanatics are still there. And they may try to continue the fight. We don't know. And that might never come to pass. Trump may never let Khomeini walk out of this. It's bad press. It also leaves the door open for Khomeini to make a comeback, like Bashar Assad could make a comeback in Syria. And that's one reason Putin wants him. It won't happen, I don't think. But, we got to watch this. What I think Khomeini's going to try for by attacking American bases and the oil of the other oil producing countries in the Persian Gulf area is to get some sort of ceasefire and then get things to calm down and they could stay in power and keep their country safe and protected to some extent. But I don't think it's going to get anywhere. Okay, let me see if I have any questions. And this is a very fluid thing. So I do update on Telegram about 20 times a day, probably every hour. So you'll get the updates on Telegram. And if things get bad or serious, like the eggs start hitting the fan, I'll do emergency live streams. So some of you might want to subscribe. Remember, I'm in Israel. These other people you're listening to are not in Israel. They don't understand the Middle East. They don't know real Bible prophecy. And they're not getting the information firsthand. Okay? They don't really get it. They are kicking it back to you from other people. Now, this nonsense with emergency action messages and stuff like that is, you're wasting your time listening to that stuff, okay? If America is really interested in sending messages to bombers and planes and Navy vessels, they're going to probably be encrypted burst transmissions that you're never going to even hear or understand or know anything about. Okay, these messages are not what you think they are. They're just people trying to sell you survival equipment, getting you to think that if you listen to them, you're going to have some extra special insight. Now, the flight trackers, where they track the planes, is that helpful? It can be, yes. But remember, when the Americans or any other country doesn't want you to track their planes, they shut the trackers off. So when it's working, it can be helpful. Like, it revealed the movement of 31 refueling tankers. Yeah, it can be helpful. Okay, but when they want to sever those transponders, that's it, and you don't know what planes are being moved where. Okay, so the state of Israel is that people are worn down, they're beaten down, they're not sleeping at night. I get up at night. It stinks. It's annoying. It's getting better because we're not seeing people get killed or put under rubble or high-rise buildings getting it because Iran can't do the big swarm attacks. It's too dangerous for them. So they use little small attacks with mobile launchers, sometimes only 3 missiles. And our takedown rate is probably 98, 99%. Nobody has 100% takedown rate in missiles. That's impossible unless Jehovah enables it. You're not going to have that. No system is that good, okay? We're up there about as good as you can get. And how do we get it that high? By redundancy. As the missile travels through Israel, we shoot out with Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow, anti-missile systems, even THAAD systems. As the missile is traversing across Israel, we're shooting at it with multiple systems in different locations till we finally get it. And our planes will often attack the missile or the drone before it gets into Israel. So that's how we get them. Okay? It's not so easy. Okay? So Jeremiah 49, destruction of Elam, is well on the way. And again, what's going to probably happen after that is the Houthis are going to get it, because they're shooting missiles daily or almost every day at Israel, and then Yahweh's got to deal with them. But our takedown rate on the Houthi missiles is like 99%. So we got to prioritize. As much as I don't like Netanyahu, I think he's doing a lot of the things correctly now. Okay. So the next thing will be Yemen. And after the Iranian thing and Yemen, then I believe you're going to see Elijah working as per Malachi 3, training the Levites to make the offerings acceptable unto the Lord, which will bring the blessings of the law on Judah and Jerusalem, which is what you call Israel now. The Lord refers to it now as Judah and Jerusalem because we don't have all the land back based on the covenant. It's a covenant that Jehovah made in Genesis 15 to give us from the Euphrates to the Nile, which is a piece of land about 100 times bigger than what we have now. So Yemen is going to probably get it after Iran. Will America help with Yemen? I don't know. I doubt it. And then from there, you'll see after Iran, you'll see the daughter of Babylon get it possibly and likely after Elisha starts working. But when the temple comes down in Malachi 3 and 4, you read it in 3, you don't read of missiles and drones and rockets coming down at the temple. Okay, so those days are over. Okay? And you don't read of Elijah and the Levites, having to learn how to do the offerings while they're holding swords and weapons in their hands. So it's calmed down. And then with Elijah and Enoch, the two witnesses, they're going to surround Israel on all the borders, very scared, because it says it'll be a cup of trembling in Zechariah 12, which means they're going to be shaken, they're going to be so scared. But their idiot mullahs are going to keep pushing them, and they're going to say, you got to get rid of these two, Elijah and Enoch. And Trump is probably going to be turned against Israel at that point, because he knows who he is. He's very transactional about that, let's say, transactional. And he knows who he is, and he knows what his future is, and he's going to turn. Okay? And you see that. He will do, it says, the daughter of Babylon will do evil in our sight, referencing Israel. And he's in a snare, and he doesn't know it. And you'll see all this stuff to come. And things are going to come fast. Syria fell in 11 days. It looks like Iran's going to fall quicker. So, Jeremiah 50 and 51 come after Jeremiah 49, destruction of Elam, which would be Iran and Iraq, parts of Iraq likely, and Syria as well. So, there you have it. So I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife. The country is shut down for regular business, so she can't get her cryotherapy, and she's deteriorating, so please pray for her health to be restored. These machines are about $50,000, so us buying one is so far out of the question, it's not even funny, okay? But, if you have faith and you pray, you can tell the mountain to go throw itself in the sea. So pray that the Lord gets us a cryo machine. You never know. I mean, why say no? Try it. Pray for it. Why not? Pray for our peace, safety, protection, and joy and healing. of our bodies and pray for us to be happy, healthy, and whole, and our animals and birds be happy, healthy, and whole, and safe and secure. And pray for better videos with more insights. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And um, remember when the eggs start hitting the fan, and they could today with Trump, I will do emergency live streams, so you might want to subscribe, and it would be really, really nice if you took 2 seconds and hit the like button. And that's not asking a lot, I don't think, but it would be nice if you did that. Many thanks to those who are sending offerings in. Much appreciated. The food stores are open, some of them. Like we had a bakery, it closed. I don't know why. Maybe the guy closed it on his own. But the groceries, the small ones, the big ones, they're open. They do deliveries and stuff. So drugstores are open, gas stations are open, some hardware stores are open. Not a lot of stuff is open. Um, so that's what I got, and it's quite a bit of news, and you should stay tuned because this thing could go to unprecedented levels, and it may be fighting with other countries too before this is over. I'm not optimistic about that in the Middle East. I don't think we'll see it, but there's no guarantee that China and North Korea won't start attacking in Asia when they see America get involved in the Middle East. There's no such guarantee, is there? So you got to put that in the back of your mind too. I'm out, and I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. Thank you.